He divorced her with a smile on his face, while his family sat behind him laughing. His mother even whispered, "Now you can finally marry someone worthy of our name." Olivia didn't cry, didn't argue, didn't beg him to stay. She simply signed the papers and walked away quietly. What none of them realized was that the worthless woman they humiliated secretly owned the company Ethan worked for, and in less than a year, he would stand in front of her shaking, afraid to lose the very job she now controlled. This is Broken Then Powerful, where pain turns into power. When Ethan first met Olivia, she looked nothing like the women his wealthy friends dated. No designer bags, no luxury car, no loud personality trying to impress people. She was soft-spoken, gentle, the type of woman who listened more than she talked. And honestly, that was exactly why Ethan fell in love with her. Back then, his life was a mess. Debt collectors called him non-stop. His business ideas failed repeatedly. His own friends slowly disappeared when money became tight. But Olivia stayed. She stayed during the ugly days, the embarrassing days, the nights when Ethan sat on the kitchen floor stressed out over unpaid bills. She would sit beside him quietly, hand him coffee, and say, "You're not failing, you're just early." Those words kept him alive emotionally, and Ethan knew it. At least, the old Ethan did. Because success changes people, sometimes slowly, sometimes completely. 3 years later, Ethan became a senior executive at one of the fastest-growing tech corporations in Chicago. Suddenly, he was making more money than he ever dreamed of. Luxury restaurants, private parties, business trips, expensive suits, and somewhere along the way, he started becoming embarrassed by the very woman who once saved him. Olivia still wore simple clothes, still avoided attention, still preferred quiet dinners over luxury events. Ethan began seeing her simplicity as weakness, and his family made it worse. His mother hated Olivia from the beginning. "She's too plain. She doesn't belong in our circle. She'll ruin your image." Little by little, those words poisoned him. At family dinners, Olivia became the target of constant humiliation. One night, Ethan's sister stared at Olivia's shoes and laughed. "Oh my God, are those fake?" The table burst into laughter. Olivia smiled politely, but Ethan noticed something strange. She never defended herself, never tried proving anyone wrong, almost like she knew something they didn't. Still, he ignored that feeling, because arrogance blinds people, and Ethan was becoming more arrogant every day. Weeks later, Ethan attended a luxury company gala. Every executive arrived with glamorous partners wearing expensive jewelry. Olivia showed up in a simple black dress, elegant, beautiful. But simple Ethan looked uncomfortable the second they walked in. "You could have dressed more appropriately," he whispered coldly. Olivia looked confused. "This dress is fine. For normal people, maybe," he muttered. That sentence cut deep. You could see it in her eyes. Not anger, not heartbreak, disappointment. The kind that comes when someone you love slowly becomes a stranger. That night changed everything. On the drive home, silence filled the car. Then Olivia quietly asked, "Are you ashamed of me?" Ethan gripped the steering wheel tightly. He didn't answer immediately. And honestly, that silence answered everything. A few days later, he asked for divorce, just like that. No counseling, no fight for the marriage, nothing. As if she was disposable. His mother celebrated immediately. "To freedom," she toasted during dinner. Even Ethan laughed nervously with them. And Olivia? She sat there calmly signing the divorce papers. No tears, no emotional breakdown. That terrified Ethan more than if she screamed. Because people who truly break don't become calm, they become empty. Before leaving, Olivia looked at Ethan one last time and softly said, "One day, you'll realize what you traded away." Then she walked out, and the silence she left behind felt heavier than any argument. After the divorce, Olivia disappeared completely. No social media, no public drama, nothing. Meanwhile, Ethan's life looked perfect from the outside. New apartment, new relationships, more money, more status. But deep inside, something felt off, because peace cannot be replaced with attention. And genuine love cannot be replaced with appearances. Still, his ego kept him distracted until the company crisis happened. One morning, executives rushed through the office panicking. Investors were pulling out. Stocks were crashing. Rumors spread that a mysterious investment group was buying massive shares of the company. Nobody knew who was behind it, but everyone was scared. Within weeks, the acquisition became official. The board announced a new majority owner. Emergency meeting. Mandatory attendance. The entire executive floor looked tense that morning. Ethan adjusted his tie nervously while entering the conference room. Board members whispered anxiously. Then the doors opened and time stopped. Olivia walked in, but this wasn't the same. Woman, they mocked. No, this... Olivia carried a different energy. Quiet confidence, controlled power, the kind of presence that doesn't beg for attention because it already owns the room. Every executive immediately stood up. Good morning, Ms. Carter. Ethan froze. Ms. Carter? His heart dropped instantly. No way. But then the screen behind her lit up. Carter Global Holdings. Majority shareholder. Ethan's hands started shaking. The room blurred around him. Olivia owned the company. Not just a small portion. Everything. The entire time they mocked her. She was a multi-billionaire. The entire time Ethan felt superior. He was living inside a world she could buy overnight. Suddenly, memories attacked him all at once. Her old car, simple clothes, quiet behavior, avoiding luxury, avoiding attention. Dear God, it was never because she lacked money. She simply never needed validation. And that was their biggest mistake. They judged her simplicity, because shallow people confuse silence with weakness. Olivia began speaking professionally. Thank you all for attending. Her voice was calm, steady, powerful. Ethan couldn't even look at her properly. Shame consumed him, not because she became successful, but because she had always been successful, and he abandoned her believing she had nothing. One board member nervously laughed. I think we're all shocked. None of us knew you owned Carter Global. Olivia smiled slightly. I prefer being respected for my character before my wealth. That sentence hit Ethan like a truck, because he failed that test completely. The meeting continued. Olivia discussed restructuring plans, leadership changes, future investments. Professional, emotionless, but every second destroyed Ethan internally, because she never once tried humiliating him. And somehow, that hurt even more. After the meeting, Ethan chased after her in the hallway. Olivia, wait. She stopped walking slowly. For the first time in years, he sounded weak. I didn't know, he whispered. Olivia looked at him quietly. I know. Pain filled his face. Why would you hide something like this from me? She stared at him for a few seconds, then answered softly, because I wanted to know if someone could love me before knowing what I owned. Silence, pure silence. Ethan felt sick, because suddenly every memory looked ugly, every insult, every cold moment, every family dinner. He realized something horrifying. Olivia never changed. He did. I'm sorry, he whispered. And for the first time, he truly meant it. Olivia's eyes softened slightly, but not with love, with closure. There was a time, she said quietly, when an apology would have meant everything to me. That line shattered him, because he knew he was too late, completely too late. Then she walked away calmly, while Ethan stood there drowning in regret. Weeks later, major restructuring hit the company. Executives lost positions, departments changed, and Ethan? He lost everything he spent years building. Ironically, Olivia never fired him out of revenge. She simply chose leaders based on integrity, not ego, not status, not appearances. And Ethan finally understood something most people learn too late. A person's value has nothing to do with how loudly they display their success. Some of the richest souls live quietly. Some of the strongest people never feel the need to prove themselves. And some of the biggest hearts get treated the worst. Meanwhile, Olivia's empire kept growing. But unlike others with power, she used hers differently. She funded scholarships for struggling women, opened shelters for abused mothers, invested in young entrepreneurs nobody believed in, because pain had taught her something important. People bloom when someone believes in them. Ethan's family eventually learned the full truth too. The woman they mocked for years was worth more than their entire bloodline combined. But by then, it no longer mattered, because Olivia no longer needed their approval. That's the thing about healing. Once someone truly knows their worth, they stop chasing acceptance from people who failed to value them. And maybe that's the real revenge, not destroying people, not humiliating them, but becoming so strong, their disrespect can no longer touch you. So before you judge someone for being quiet, for being simple, for not showing off, remember this. Not everyone flexes their power. Some people move in silence, while building empires behind closed doors. Subscribe to Broken Then Powerful for more emotional stories like this. And remember, the people who laugh at your silence today may one day have to stand and applaud your success tomorrow.